Look at the move we're talking about, right? Look at that little bit of a move right there. So again, I'm all for price action, and volatility is what I live off of, right? I can make money in moves to the upside and downside. I just can't make money when the market does nothing. And we've been in that long period where it was doing nothing. So now we're getting some opportunities. Now I have looked at I've put out some trade signals short. We shorted Solana, Ethereum right up in this range. I haven't done Bitcoin yet. I still have a long position in Bitcoin that I'm holding just in case it breaks out. But ultimately, I do believe that we should pull back here in the next week or so. If we somehow got above that, that would be potentially a new bull market to me. And the reason I say that is, number one, it's a major trend line here, right? So it's kind of this breakdown point, but it's also more than 50% retracement at that point. So you would then essentially, if you look at where we were 16,000 to 41,
Bitcoin is finally pumping the bloody December we had, and the fear and greed index mirrors the feeling we see in social media, especially on Twitter. People are going crazy now, saying Bitcoin's bull market will finally start. However, even though it looks promising, Gareth Soloway, who has become popular with all his Bitcoin price predictions, will explain where the real bull run may happen and how you still have to be careful now. Not only that, but in this video, he will also explain what you can expect to happen next week, so watch it carefully as your life depends on it.
It's been an awesome pump, and you can see the breakout when it occurred. You take this high, which was the FTX beginning collapse high, you connect it to that secondary high, and you could see when the breakout occurred right here. This one candle right here checked back to that line, and then off to the races it went. And now the key is this, right? Is we've had this beautiful move up on Bitcoin, but look at where it stalled out, right at that FTX high. And remember that, you know, the FTX high represents a psychological hurdle for the market, and meaning that this was where a lot of people were buying Bitcoin over here thinking, oh, it was finally bottoming. We were going sideways for a long period of time, and then the rug got pulled out from underneath them. And so the reason why this pivot high is such a key resistance level is because when individual investors lose a chunk of their account very, very quickly, when they get back to break even, there's this tendency to say, okay, my account is back to where it was, let me sell, right? So that's essentially what you have going on here, is that all these people over here are now break even, and they're saying, okay, let me sell and exit the position. And so that creates that resistance line. In addition, it's a psychological level. We all know that this is where the fraud came to light on FTX, where the debacle kind of occurred. And so if price could get above there, that would be impressive, right? That would be a psychological break point. But as long as we stay below this in the near term, I think you have to be a little bit measured in your approach to how bullish you are. You wouldn't believe the amount of people that are just pumping relentlessly, as if you'd think, you know, if I just looked at Twitter, I'd be like, oh, Bitcoin must be at 65,000 already, right? Because of how crazy the move has been. And so if you put it in perspective, look at the move we're talking about, right? Look at that little bit of a move right there. So again, I'm all for price action, and volatility is what I live off of, right? I can make money in moves to the upside and downside. I just can't make money when the market does nothing. And we've been in that long period where it was doing nothing. So now we're getting some opportunities. Now I have looked at I've put out some trade signals short. We shorted Solana, Ethereum right up in this range. I haven't done Bitcoin yet. I still have a long position in Bitcoin that I'm holding just in case it breaks out. But ultimately, I do believe that we should pull back here in the next week or so.
With that in mind, what's happening right now on Bitcoin? Is this the absolute bottom?
Yeah, I'm in the camp that it's an expected bear market rally, and I can't wait for the day where I can go all out bull on Bitcoin and say, okay, now we're finally made a bottom. But, you know, a couple things concern me. Number one, I've never seen a bear market end with this much hype out of a small move to the upside, right? So again, we showed that big picture about the type of move. Usually when bear markets end, people on the they're like, wait a minute, I don't trust this because I've been burned so many times. In addition, it's very common, and I showed this, you know, let me show my my Tesla chart here, but it's very common in bear markets for the market to have, or that individual stock to have, pretty significant moves to the upside. So let me see if I can do this here. A price range, right? So if you look at Tesla, right, from peak to trough, right here, that's a 48% move. And look at price after that. It still collapsed to the downside. So, there's this term in the stock market, and now it applies to crypto and commodities, everything. It's called, in bear markets, you get these rip your face off rallies. Like, they're so intense that they lure people into believing that the bear market is over, only to dash their dreams and push it to new lows. And so I'm kind of in that camp where, to me, at this stage, it's about, what is it, about a 35% rally off of the lows, give or take. Yep. So far, to me, we haven't taken off the FTX high. We're still in a phase of Fed tightening, right? They haven't even gone to neutral yet. And so I have to at least err on the side of caution and more sell into the rallies versus buying here for a bigger move.
When asked what direction Gareth wanted Bitcoin to go now, here's what he replied.
So, I definitely, listen, the cheaper it gets, the more I can buy, right? So I'm not opposed to it coming back in. So yeah, if I had to hope for one direction, I would like for it to come back in just so I could buy more, frankly, as I am a huge long-term bull. So yeah, I think that would be the ideal scenario. I think that, we have to also look at, in terms of a potential bottom, keep in mind that Bitcoin's previous bear markets have all gone down more than this one. And so you also have to say, wait, this is the first bear market where the Fed's not printing money and they're actually tightening, yet it doesn't make sense for the bear market in Bitcoin to only be down 70% versus the 80 to 85 normally it goes down. And maybe maybe adoption has helped. But again, you just have to, for me as a very logical robotic trader, it gives me pause, right? And again, one of the biggest things, and I know you tell you guys this, is that you can't let emotion cloud your judgment. As much as I want Bitcoin to go to $1 million or wherever it is, you have to look at it in this very even, like, pros and cons list and see what makes sense. And then that's the way you kind of position yourself. And again, by no means does that mean I don't have any long Bitcoin. I have long on Bitcoin. I just don't have as much as I want when I think the bottom is finally in. All right, so what we can see here on the chart, right, is that over here in 2021, we had kind of the inverse of maybe what's happening. You had this big sell-off, then you had this big pop, and then you had the bear market start. So I wonder if it's possible that this is the inverse of it. So that was an M pattern. What if this is a W, and then you have that one final flush to kind of catch everyone off guard, and then you have so again, it's the same kind of thing as where here everyone started to get really bearish on the charts, and then it flushed all of them out. Here you're having everyone getting bullish. The question is, does it have that kind of W pattern formation to it? And again, time will tell, right? That's the crazy thing about it. We don't know for sure until it actually happens. There's points where, like, if we get above the FTX high pivot and we start to consolidate and make a bull flag, then I read the bull flag and I know the support level, and then I buy the bull flag for a move up. Now, maybe I'm not in it for a long period of time. Maybe I'm only in it for 20% gain, but there's always trades. It doesn't matter. Like, the most important thing, a good investor and trader is neither a bull nor a bear. You just take advantage of whichever side has the higher probability.
Another great question most investors have, including the comments we get all the time, is if the halving in Bitcoin can help it pump and create the next bull market. Here's what Gareth has to say about that.
Yeah, I do think it will be one piece of the puzzle, right? So, the beautiful thing about it is I view over the next 12 months or just beyond, which takes us to the halving, is that you're going to have multiple pieces of the puzzle fall into place. Number one, you're going to get regulation, and regulation will breed transparency, which will then convince big money that it's safe again after FTX to get back involved. And that's money that you need to drive up price. Then you take into account, okay, now you have transparency in a sector. It's getting more credibility, because I think regulation, weirdly enough, brings about kind of, this realization that if the government's regulating it, then they say that it's a legitimate type of investment, right? So that brings back that side of it. Then you take the halving into account, and yeah, these are all things that together should bring about that bull market. So I do think it's coming back, and I actually think that the next bull market will be probably the longest bull, and maybe, percentage-wise, maybe not, because when it was, when Bitcoin was $1 or $2, obviously percentage-wise, but I think that this next bull market can really shoot it way above 100,000, because I think the transparency will then bring about, big money investment coming into it. So if too many people believe that halving will create the next mega run, then it probably won't. So I think we just have to be kind of aware of that. And it's not to say that it won't help Bitcoin and everything like that, but it does concern me as well, is that when everyone's like, oh, the next bull market will happen on this date because of the halving, that's like, that makes me real nervous. Like, the market has a funny way of proving the majority wrong in these scenarios. And we saw it at the highs on Bitcoin. When Bitcoin was 69,000, the majority, I mean, like 95% of people were like, Bitcoin's going to 100K. And of course it goes to 20 or sub 20 instead. So just be careful. Like, it's the same thing in stocks investing, is like, when everyone's saying like this event is going to be a huge deal and it's going to create this move, chances are it's going to be the opposite move.
And if you're enjoying this video, hold on. Gareth will explain when you can expect the next bull market to start. If this level breaks, we're set.
And the beautiful thing about it, I mean, in crypto, it's going to continue to be exciting because there's just so much new stuff coming out, whether it's technology wise or if it's like, just about the price action and the regulation. I mean, it's going to be a great space to pay attention to over the next couple of years. And I do believe that, if you ask me where Bitcoin is 6 months from now, I think personally it's probably lower. If you say, where is it 2 years, 3 years from now, I think it's quite a bit higher. One thing that would be really interesting to me is if you take this line here and you stretch it out, it's around 40,000. If we somehow got above that, that would be potentially a new bull market to me. And the reason I say that is, number one, it's a major trend line here, right? So it's kind of this breakdown point, but it's also more than 50% retracement at that point. So you would then, essentially, if you look at where we were, 16,000 to 41 and then 41 to 69, you're basically at that 50%-ish level as well. So to get above that, you would really start to change the narrative on where crypto's going and starting to get it really hyped up again.
This is it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and see you tomorrow, as usual, with more daily crypto updates. Give us a like and a subscribe if you want to get our content popping on your YouTube homepage daily. Thanks.